Earlier today, the Treasurer made the announcement regarding the extension of JobKeeper arrangements, the changes in the eligibility rules. I was able to brief the National Cabinet on that today. That additional investment of some $15 billion, which brings the total investment in JobKeeper now to over $100 billion on the part of the Commonwealth. This is the largest program of this nature the country has ever undertaken. It is a scale which is unprecedented, and it stands well in comparison when we look around the world at the various forms of support that have been provided during this crisis. JobKeeper has been a lifeline to people's livelihoods. It's been a lifeline to businesses. It's been a lifeline for the certainty and assurance that it's provided Australians that I know they've been relying upon in these very difficult months. And as we've seen the outbreak of the Victorian wave and the impact that that's had specifically on Victoria, knowing that JobKeeper is there, knowing that JobKeeper is supporting them, their families, their businesses, their communities, I think comes of great assurance. This has been a week where there have been many challenges to deal with. Victorians, more than anyone, know that. As a government, we've responded to the changes that have taken place in Victoria. We've moved to provide the pandemic leave disaster payment. That is progressing extremely well. And those payments are being processed and they're being progressed through Services Australia, who have stood up those services very quickly. The changes that we've moved to put in place for childcare and the changes that we've made to JobKeeper as we've considered and looked at the evidence and the likely impacts on the ground and making sure that JobKeeper can do that job that people are looking for it to do. This is a national program. This is not an arrangement that has been put in place specifically for Victoria. It's a national program. And I was able to remark to the other leaders today at the meeting, there'll be many people in their states and territories who will also benefit from the changes that have been made for eligibility to make sure the JobKeeper reaches to those parts of the country where they're also continuing to do it tough. Quite understandably and rightly, we're all very focused on the hardships being experienced in Melbourne and across Victoria. But let's not forget, in the rest of the country, there are many businesses that are still doing it tough. There are many households that are also doing it tough. The pandemic is still there, many restrictions still in place. I look forward to standing behind this podium again and hopefully not the too distant future where we can plan out another roadmap out. And I believe we will be able to do that, and we're making great progress towards that. But for now, there are very serious challenges we need to address. The overall commitment of the Commonwealth now in the various measures, both on balance sheet, particularly in direct fiscal measures, is well over $300 billion now. At a state level and territory level combined, that investment is just over $40 billion. We spoke today about the importance of continuing to work together to provide the necessary supports to the economy. We noted the measures that the Western Australian Government has released just this past week, measures also that have been put in place in other states and territories. And we're going to continue to work together to ensure that we're providing that support into the economy that businesses, employees, that the country needs. And at the next meeting, we'll be welcoming Dr Lowe from the Reserve Bank together with Dr Kennedy, who will meet with the National Cabinet again. More broadly, while it has been a week for solving problems, putting solutions in place quickly, but in a considered way at a federal level, it is also a time to remember that there is the strong plan to ensure that the economy comes out of this strongly. The measures that we've already put in place, whether it's been in the home building sector, the entertainment sector, the many other specific parts of the economy, but also the need to address critical issues in our economy, whether it be on skills. We had a very long discussion today about skills, and I'll come back to that. But whether it's that or on workplace and industrial relations, work in the energy sector, the work that is needed in the manufacturing sector to see that there is both an enablement of scale in that sector, but as well as having a security of sovereign supply within Australia. All of these issues are part of our plan, and I want Australians to have that assurance that while we are in these, again, very dark times, places we're not unfamiliar with through this pandemic, that the governments are working together, and I can assure you the federal government has a very clear and strong plan for the road out to assure that Australia will emerge strongly from this. And I believe we will emerge strongly than many and most, if not all, developed nations in the world. And that is because of the resilience and spirit of the Australian people and the capacity of our economy, as it's been demonstrated on so many occasions.